order to really understand maps, students need to be able to visualize the real forms that maps symbolize. When studying one's own town or state, the out of doors furnishes the visual material needed for this understanding. These 4th, 5th, and 6th graders experience the real geography of Brattleboro by observing and drawing both the physical and human characteristics of their environment.
In the beginning of the year, I was sort of thinking, okay, well now how can I make myself useful as an art teacher, you know, sort of watching what goes on here, how can I integrate in? And so it's sort of, as I said, it's sort of a work in progress right now. How do I do that? How do I do it most effectively? How do I use my time most effectively? How do I still, you know, not be subservient to the curriculum? Because I feel like art, you know, is certainly its own curriculum. With their memory maps, it was much more specifically about geography and being able to locate a place in Vermont and look at the map and figure out where it was. That map was more about, you know, really being able to see what the contours of Vermont looked like and being able to locate your place. So as a way to make that less dry, you know, well, here, pick a town and find it on the map. Think about a town that something interesting happened to you in that town. I dropped my lunch. I love the one. I dropped my lunch over the cliff, you know. And so that sort of makes it, it makes it an artistic project because we're doing something that's an art project. We're making a contour map with paper mache. We're painting it. We're using gold marker. We're embellishing it in an artistic way. Art, or what my purpose is in taking the kids outdoors, is having them notice a particular place and notice what's going on there. So it's really sort of about awareness in the world. I'm taking the kids out to places that are important to me or that I think would be beautiful to draw. You know, an orchard, a farm, by the water. And they're places that I connect with. And hopefully they're general enough and beautiful enough that everybody will see the value of it. Usually I'll have them look around and say, choose 3 different vantage points that they're interested in. Just do a sketch. So maybe, you know, look in this direction and for 5 or 10 minutes and then look in another direction. Look, just sort of as a way of getting them oriented to being there and sort of seeing what's around them. When we went to the orchard, I specifically had them look at it in terms of value, looking at 3 different tones. And I specifically limited it to 3 tones. Because I know when you go out and you look at the landscape, there's so much going on. You think, how do I draw this?
We went to the river, and I saw a boat that had a Nantucket nectar little table with the umbrella, and it looked more bright than anything else, so I drew it, and I'm writing about the Nantucket nectars.
One of the major goals of the unit, as far as sort of limiting it in terms of the art part, is valuing the landscape, noticing it, valuing it, appreciating it, preserving it. And the other goal is to get, you know, beautiful imagery into kids' minds, sort of filling it sort of as an antidote to a lot of other stuff that goes in there, you know, sort of video games and that kind of thing. That whole thing really is sort of frightening to me. And the whole disconnection that causes, if you're sitting in front of a screen, whatever kind of a screen it might be, a lot, and you're not really in your physical body, you're not really in nature, you're not really connecting to your surroundings. What does that do, sort of psychically and spiritually? While the kids are drawing, we have a time when they write. And they write about, you know, what they're experiencing, like just look around and notice sort of, you know, verbally, I see, you know, the trees are turning or whatever. And they have about maybe 15 minutes or so to write, and then we have a sharing time right there on the site. So kids, if they want to, can get up and read their writing. Some kids choose to write poems. And so that's sort of how we process it.
There are some apple trees at SIT.
Okay.
If you go there, you will see them. I'm trying to think of how it feels when it goes down my throat and when I first taste it.
To me, the art and the writing part is very, very important because it is that reflective part. It is, you know, you sort of got two things going on here. You've got your visual, you're looking at it, and then you're writing about it. It sort of reinforces, I think, and helps them remember what they've seen.
And I never really noticed like all the things, because if you're just driving by something and looking at it, you don't really notice like everything that's in it. But if you're really sitting there and drawing a picture, you notice all of it.
We went to a farm. There were some cows up in the field, and a lot of us like drawing cows.
When we're on site, for instance, when we go to this dairy farm, we're talking about it being a working farm and trying to, at least make the kids aware that this is it's not a tourist farm. People have let us come there. There's a lot of work going on there. People are driving back and forth on tractors and they're gardening and there's stuff going on. So it gives them an awareness of how that farm works. So I try to sort of bring that in. This is what it looks like, when you're here during the day.
When I was little, we had 3 cows. So when I draw cows, it makes me think about the cows that I had.
Once upon a time, there was a pig named Arnold. He was lost in the orchard. He was crying out, thinking of his mother, and then he closed his eyes for a moment. And when he opened them, he was in a bush of goldenrod. Bees were attacking at full speed. He started crying for help. He heard a noise and he stopped. The bees stopped. They listened. He heard footsteps. He looked out of the bush, and there was his mother. And he jumped out and embraced her, and they walked into the sunset.
Kids have their own little special places, and I think, from the point of view of the artwork that I do, also, memory is an important element in that. Remembered places, actual places, landscape, and what that does, I think also it offers really a spiritual connection, that connecting to something in nature. This is the place where I like to go in the woods and sit when I'm feeling bad, or when I'm feeling good, or when I just want to get away. And I think that's something, to me, that is sort of an endangered activity, maybe, of kids sort of having a place that's just a special place for them. Think about, what's around it. What I'm trying to get you to do is look at the way that we've gone outdoors, and I've chosen some landscapes for you to draw, the orchard, and we went to the marina, we went to the farm. How would you choose a special place, like a memory of a place that's special to you? The grandfather tree.
It's a huge tree, like this big, around, and we put a little ceramic head of like an old wizard thingy on it.
So it really looks like a grandfather.
My house is on a hill, and then there's a hill down, and then there's a whole bunch of woods.
So is that sort of a special place to you?
Yeah.
That you might want to try to attempt a drawing of?
Me and my friends, we made a little house, sort of like fort in the forest. And this is like 2 trees. And there's a little passage or another tree here and more trees back there. But, it just seemed like it's a nice place and it's comfortable. I'm afraid that people might come and like chop down the trees.
I've just felt that it's so important for kids to understand where they are and to notice where they are from the point of view of preservation point of view, being able to protect their environment because they value it.
I kind of feel happy when I go into it, because sometimes sad because it's like completely trashed, because we just moved there. There's like big splotches of metal all over and all this dirt and like coats all over.
The books, which are more an art project with sort of sense of place woven in, you have all these things to think about. You have to think about, getting your pictures pasted into your book, putting the writings next to them. How do you design them? Adding color, collage, whatever. This is going to be the cover. You're going to collage it. We're going to open it up at the center. Jacob, see, this is, and we're going to poke holes here.
I really don't need
We're going to sew it in with thread. I just want you to think about embellishing. What does embellish mean?
Embellish means like making it fancier.
Making it fancier, yeah. Making it attractive. The more effort that they put into their book into, you know, this particular place. Well, here's this orchard, but I did a whole design around it that had nothing to do with the orchard. But still, it means they're taking more care of it. They're thinking more about that image as something that you want to take care of. Today was sort of a turning point in terms of the books. We were already well underway with them. You know, we've gone through the stage of saying, well, here's what I want you to do, and the kids sort of, oh, okay, you know, and sort of getting started, which is always the hardest part of a project. And then the nice part of a project is when you get to a stage like this where it has its own momentum. Kids know exactly what they're supposed to do. You're just sort of adding more words, trying to remind them of what you're hoping that they're going to be doing. So the energy that was here today, and the sort of effort and the focus, and what I saw happening visually, I just saw more things happening. Oh, I'm excited. I'm really excited. It's sort of helping me to see more, how can I broaden my outlook as an art teacher, and as a teacher who's always felt it was important to take the kids outdoors and draw, just from the point of view of, you know, putting into people's minds something that's beautiful. If you sort of lose what's beautiful, what have we got?
At this time in their lives, students are building their identities and understanding and valuing the nature of their home as an important element. Their art captures this special place and helps them see their place in it and their roles as protectors of those special places. Building a sense of place is a crucial element for building strong identities in young students.